Hello, Maranatha, and welcome to another series of shorts. And we're going to talk about the return of Christ. Yeah, the return of Jesus. So, this is going to be titled The Return of Christ, the Return of the Lord Jesus. And like with all new series, we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. Then we're going to jump straight on into the Word. We're going to follow the Spirit. I don't know how many of these I'll get out this morning. Probably not very many, one or two. But I always want to be about the Father's business and doing what He wants. We certainly need to keep our mind stayed on Jesus and not on sins of this life. Not out here. If we allow ourselves to go into these temptations and diverse lusts, you know what? Our mind's certainly going to go. We have a choice in what we pick up every day. If you've got two things set before you every day, you have a choice which one of those two items you pick up and carry. Now, we have a choice every day to pick up the Lord or pick up Satan. Our actions will certainly show which one we picked up. But if you have the Holy Ghost, why are you picking up anything but the Lord? There's the question. But anyways, let's Lord's Prayer before we get into this. Now, I can't say with any certainty where all the Lord will carry us in this. But I do want to discuss this because we are in the last days. The last moments of the last days. I've been trying to get this across to y'all for some time now. And there is not a whole lot of time left to try to gather in our loved ones. So if you just milling around taking your time about talking to somebody, I'll get to it eventually. Things like that, you best be getting to her. Because you're about to lose your window of opportunity. Because the window of grace is closing. Now, yes, there will be people that will come out of the tribulation because it is written. But what did John not tell us about that particular thing, about those coming out of the tribulation? He didn't tell us what caused them to come out of the tribulation, did he? He didn't tell us who'd be preaching in the final days, did he? We're going to discuss that more as we get on into this series by the grace of the Lord. And we're going to try to discuss that a lot more. Let me say this before I do get into the Lord's Prayer. We know that in the last days they will not go after that which is holy and righteous, but rather that they will go after that which is, they will heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. We'll get into that too. But I just wanted to touch on it a little bit right here, right now. They'll heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. So if you're preaching the truth and your church is starting to get empty, don't worry about it. The Lord will add to the church as He sees fit, as many as He shall call. You just do what He tells you, and through your obedience, He will work. And He will draw people that He wants in His houses. Because it's a narrow road. If you're in a place that's broad and has many members, you're in the wrong place. Because you're in an itching ear place. The Bible teaches us that where 2 or 3 shall gather in His name, as long as we are truly in His name, that's what matters. Long as it's coming from our heart and praise worship to the Lord, because He inhibits the praises of His people, He will never leave us with a void. He will always make sure the check is good. It'll never come back void. It'll never bounce. When God gives you a check of promise, you can guarantee when you go to cash that in, it's going to come up with dividends. Long as you're being obedient to the Lord. Anyways, let's jump into the Lord's Prayer. I cry, Abba, Father, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive our trespasses, O Lord, as we forgive those that trespass against us. Or as some like to say, Lord, forgive our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us, O Lord. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Forever. For thine, Lord, is the kingdom. It belongs to you, Jesus. It's not anybody else's. And we thank you for it. Help us to learn these things, Lord. And do, Lord, deliver us from temptation, deliver us from evil, so that we could be in thy kingdom, and in thy power, and in thy glory, Lord. That we might bring you glory, Jesus. In your mighty name, Lord, do not let this word return void. Let it serve the purpose for which you have set it to do. Let it be a help unto the churches in Jesus' mighty name. Now, you may already have noticed, we're going into the Thessalonians. And I want to state, and I want to try to get this across to people. This is letters. Now, you think about this. Back in the day, people used to write each other, sit down and actually write by hand letters to one another. Terms of endearment. Letters of love. You know? And that's exactly what this is right here. This is letters to the church, to the churches in Thessalonica. And this is to the Thessalonians. And certainly we want to understand that. But if we really open our ears and our eyes to understand it, we realize how much this also hits us. But the last stage church is a lukewarm church. And that's those of us that are living today. If you're not on fire for Jesus, you're lukewarm. And you can't be on fire for Jesus while you living in sin. You can't be on fire for Jesus if you're busy working for the devil. You cannot serve two masters. You can't sit at both tables. You can't sit at the Lord's table while sitting at Satan's. It don't work that way. Either you're going to marry the lamb or you're going to marry the beast. Which one are you following? The Lord made it plain, my sheep heareth my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. Well, if your works are showing that you're following the stranger, well, guess who you don't belong to then? You do not belong to the Lord. He wouldn't allow you to go the wrong way. Jesus won't let us go down the wrong direction on I-95 and get killed for no reason. Now, if the Lord sends us into battle and to death, there has to be a purpose behind it, and it must be going to yield Him great glory. The Lord will not send us into any situation that is not going to yield for Him. Try the spirits. If you're going into something and it ain't yielding dividends, there's something wrong there. You're not where you're supposed to be. If you haven't brought people out yet of these other churches, and you've been going for 1,800 years to these other churches, I'm not going to name yearage, because Jesus is an on time and a right now God. It doesn't take Him 42 years to save a soul. It don't take 42 children to be devoured by she-bears for God to save a soul. It don't take 42 weeks for the Lord to save a soul. If He sends you into a place, He can do it right then, instantly. You don't have to keep going back 772 times. But you need to look at this. How many times have you been to their place and talked to them, and they heard you and come back to your place to eat at your table? That's what you're not looking at. You're going to them and you're fellowshipping with them and you're going to eating from their table, but they ain't never coming and eating from yours. Something's wrong there. We're not to be partakers of their evil. And yet you're doing it. Because you think that's what the Lord wants you to do. Because you ain't trying the spirits and seeing if they be of God. Why have you not yielded any dividends from these places you've been going? Because you're not going where the Lord wants you to go. You're going where the crowd is. And like I said, if you following the crowd or you want to lead the crowd and not want to tell the truth about what sin is because you want a crowd, then you're an itching ear preacher. Or you're an itching ear member. Whichever side the fence you on that one. But wherever you sit in the church, it matters. Whatever you set before you matters. I will set no evil thing before me. But if the minister that you are putting before you is not teaching you the truth, it might as well be, you might as well go out here and just get you some porn and stuff and watch it. Same difference. One sin's the same as another if you listening to lies. No, I'm not recommending that you watch porn. I'm dead set against that stuff. That stuff destroys lives. It destroys families. It destroys homes. It's disgusting. It's perverted. It causes little children to be molested and raped and destroyed, and puts unrealistic thoughts and ideas in people's heads and expectations. And it's wrong. If you keep to the truth of what God says, you won't have as many disappointments in your life as what you have. Even with your spouses that you have. You shouldn't go trolling for somebody else. You see, everybody thinks where the Lord said that he should be, that the bishop and deacons and stuff are supposed to be the husband of one wife. Everybody thinks that means that he can't be married and divorced. No, that's not what that means. Because if you're married and divorced, you no longer have that other wife or that other husband. You're separated from them. And if God forgave that, it doesn't exist anymore. That relationship's gone. What that's referring to is where these one people want to live like the Mormons did, and they want to have 1, 2, 6, 7 or more wives at one time, and not be separated from any of them. That way they can pick and choose which one they're with each night. That's what that's referring to. We're supposed to have our own. That means one. Not having a harem of them. And if you have a problem with lust to the point that you want more, there's something wrong there. You need to get delivered of that. Anyways, see you in the next part.